Hello, people. Can I please ask many of you to move closer to us? Please. Didn't work. It's not working.
So, can I have everybody's attention, please? I know, thank you. So, let's give you a warm welcome to the Entrepreneurship Avenue 2024. Just for me, I'm your moderator for today. I'm Manuel. I'm in the same program as my two fellow students who organized it. And to start off this Entrepreneurship Avenue, let's start with a little history. I was invited to one or two of the meetings of the EA, and usually they end the meetings with a little scream, which starts like, I say E and you say A. So we're gonna start off your journey through the Entrepreneurship Avenue 2024 with a little scream. If I say E, you say A. E! A. E! A. E! A. Perfect. So let's start off. Florian and Sophia, those are the two wonderful guys who have organized all of this with the team.
Do we need microphones?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring you one. Take mine. Flo?
Hello, everyone. We're super happy and excited to have all of you here today. Welcome to Entrepreneurship Avenue 2024 Kickoff. And to start with, we would like to present you the theme and the main motto of EA 2024.
So the main theme is think big, start small. So this really shows what Entrepreneurship Avenue is all about. It's about getting out of your comfort zone. It's about trying something new. It's about meeting new people. And as you can see from some of our success stories, those were all startups that started during EA. They were super small teams in the beginning, only had their idea and the big vision, but started small. And that's what we're asking you guys to do today. Take this small step towards your journey. And yeah, we're looking forward to this evening tonight.
So the question is, what are we going to do today? So we prepared a little agenda for you. First of all, I'm going to invite Angelika from the Angewandte to give you some welcoming words as our host today. Then we're going to start with Rudolf. He's the co-founder of the EA. Then we're going over to Lisa Reis. She's from Smiling Food. She's the last year's Entrepreneurship Avenue winner. Then we are going over to our keynote speaker, Lawrence. And afterwards, we're going to have a panel discussion with, I think, four of our startups from different universities over Vienna. And then we can have a little network session outside in the atrium. So let's start with Angelika from the Angewandte.
Hello, good evening. Such a big crowd. It's Friday evening, so you really must be into the topic of entrepreneurship. Or you're here because of the free drinks. We'll see. Yeah, my name is Angelika, and on behalf of the university, of our university, the University of Applied Arts, also called the Angewandte, I'm welcoming you to this year's Kick-Off of the Entrepreneurship Avenue. If you're wondering why this event takes place at Angewandte, well, firstly, it's a great venue, as you can see. But 25 to 30% of Angewandte graduates are, as we call it, self-employed, which is double compared to the average of Austrian university graduates. We rather stick here to the term self-employed instead of entrepreneur, even though it's the same. And the common ground is, if you're a professional dog groomer, or an artist, or the next unicorn, you all have to think and take care of the same things. You all need to know something about bookkeeping and taxes. You all need to think about who will buy your stuff or service, which is potential customer. You all need to know who are your partners in this journey, and so on and so forth. So you seemingly already did the right thing, starting by coming here, so congratulations to your first step on this journey. I wish you a nice evening and a successful learning journey on the Entrepreneurship Avenue, and I'm especially happy to also have one of our alumni here today, Bernadette, and she will talk about her way of how she grew her business, because then you see it's all about starting small, becoming big, no matter what's your profession. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Lisa, for those wonderful words, and thank you for hosting us in this wonderful, I think it's called Audium. Is it your Audimax or is it the atrium? Auditorium. Perfect. Thank you for hosting us. It's a pleasure to be here. So let us start with our second person who is going to give you the basics of EA. And for this, I want to welcome not only the co-founder of the Entrepreneurship Avenue, but also the director of the Entrepreneurship Center Network and the WU Gründungszentrum. Please, a round of applause for Rudolf.
Thank you for the kind introduction. Hello. How are you tonight? Curious? Excited? A little bit? Okay, before we're going to embark on this fabulous journey called the Entrepreneurship Avenue, I'd like to give you a brief intro of its basics and the basics of entrepreneurship. And I'm going to present you 3 kind of lessons or learnings that may accompany you through the next couple of weeks at the Entrepreneurship Avenue. So the first lesson I prepared for you, what entrepreneurship is about, is problems. Right? Entrepreneurship is about problems. Who agrees with me? Let's say about 1/3 of your people. Yes, they are totally important for entrepreneurship, but in the sense of seeing problems as opportunities, as something that can be solved and should be solved. So entrepreneurship is all about opportunities. On the slide you see 3 very common definitions of entrepreneurship. What they're telling us is that entrepreneurship means identifying problems, seeing change and exploiting this as an opportunity, and to create value for others. And this value may be social value, cultural value, or financial value. And it's about, rolling up your sleeves and get going. So the 2 basic components of entrepreneurship: opportunity recognition, like seeing problems and thinking of, there might be a solution out there. And secondly, pursuing these opportunities. And the opportunities, the problems out there, there are quite some. Like, think of societal challenges. Think of the grand challenges that we are facing as a mankind. Or simply think in terms of, okay, there might be a mismatch of things that you can get on the market or that you can buy and use, and things that are already there. Or you may have a technology and think of, how can I leverage this technology to provide benefit to other people. So opportunity recognitions, and secondly, this pursuit of opportunity. Because when you get started, you basically have nothing but what you feel is a great idea. So you're going out and conquering the world, finding the right people who may help you in building your business, in making your dream come true, building an organization, finding money, finding the skills to eventually become an expert of what you're doing. So it's about find these problems out there, turn them into opportunities, and get down to work. And how you do this, this is this particular entrepreneurial mindset. And this is something that we want to train with you during the workshop series of the Entrepreneurship Avenue, because entrepreneurship is all about people. Like the fabulous Guy Kawasaki said, entrepreneurship is a state of mind of people who want to alter the future. So I brought with me for you some typical attitudes or traits of entrepreneurs. So firstly, entrepreneurs love what they do. Just like little kids, there is research out there that tells us that little kids, and this is a photo of my youngest daughter, that these kids experience a sentiment of total enthusiasm about 20 times a day. And this is something that we would like to develop with you again, this enthusiasm for the things that you're doing. Because if you do what you love, you will be better at it. Secondly, be open, because the best ideas may occur in the most awkward situations and or by combining various experiences that you've had. So entrepreneurs, to some extent, think like travelers. Thirdly, entrepreneurs are adaptive, because we know that many of successful startups out there started with a completely different idea in the back of their minds when they started. Different kind of product, they thought of a different kind of customer, different kinds of sales channels, but they got out and gained feedback from their customers. They learned how to leverage a certain technology and eventually found the right fit for their business model and became successful. Number 4, that also means you need some kind of resilience, because the entrepreneurial journey, as we may hear a bit later in the founders talk, is not just always the way up, but it's more like a roller coaster. So you need to have some kind of resilience and persistence, and just like the great Thomas Alva Edison said, I've never failed, but I invented 10,000 ways that do not work. And in order to do so, you have to do. So entrepreneurs do. You have to start somewhere. You can dream big, but you have to start with tiny steps. And the Entrepreneurship Avenue is a great place, a great platform of opportunities for you to do so, because right here we have a diverse network of people. For today's kickoff, we had more than 600 registrations from people representing more than 50 nationalities and coming from more than 75 different universities. So this is a gem that we have here, and you have the opportunity to experience entrepreneurship in a highly interdisciplinary setting. The thing is, there is great value in interdisciplinary collaboration, but it can be tricky sometimes because people from other universities approach problems in different ways than what you're used to doing. And there are also some stereotypes out there. So some time ago, we did a little survey among students of 3 universities in Vienna, namely the Tech University Vienna, BOKU Vienna, and WU Vienna. And we asked the students, you know, when you think of your colleagues from the other universities, what comes to your mind? And we gathered some quotes for you, and now I have a little game for you, a little challenge for you. You may guess to whom specific quotes refer to. So let me start with the first quote. Okay, we start with the first one up there. So you think which people of which university are playful, curious, energetic, but slightly psychotic? So what do you think who is meant with this quote? Any guesses? So is this about WU students, BOKU students, or TU students? It's about BOKU? Okay, let's say, okay, this is how the BOKU guys think about the TU guys. Secondly, analytical, good understanding of numbers. Who is this? WU? TU? Okay, let's see. Right, so this is how WU people think of their colleagues from TU. Next one is a little bit tricky, because this refers to 80% Arschkriecher who are forced to attend this university by society or even their own parents to climb the career ladder in a corporate company. 20% are really interested in the topic, and therefore they are going to attend an individual path. So who is meant here? WU, you're sure? Yes, so this is the self-impression of the WU guys. I got some more. They are good looking and know how to sell things no one actually needs. Special skills in networking. Again, WU? Right. Weed smoking hippies. Who is this? BOKU? TU? So this is how TU thinks about BOKU. In love with nature, food, and how they correlate. Who's this? Again, the weed-smoking hippies? Right. All right, my last slide. So, security-oriented, too close into the Austrian bubble, too conservative and searching where the next employer will be. Who's this? TU? WU? Okay, tight race between WU and TU, let's see. So this is TU about TU. And last but not least, farmers. BOKU about BOKU. So, thanks a lot. Enjoy the journey. I try to get the best out of this awesome platform of opportunities. Think big and start small. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudolf, for those wonderful quotes and how we perceive the other universities and how Entrepreneurship Avenue can change everything. Yeah. So for our next speaker, I want to introduce someone who has been sitting in this audience the last year, and she found her path through the journey through the Entrepreneurship Avenue. And today I can present to you the last year's winner of the conference day, Lisa Reis, the co-founder of Smiling Food.
Product placement.
Yes. Yes. So, Lisa, tell us about what Smiling Food is all about and how you perceived the journey last year.
Yeah. Do I have a clicker? Yes, I do. Okay, great. So Smiling Food is all about fighting sugar overconsumption, because 92% of the people can have diseases which are related to sugar. And our main goal is to find the best working and most suitable sugar substitute that is a one-to-one swap that is sensorial and techno-functional, identical to sugar. Yeah, so we are mainly working application-based, meaning that, for example, since sugar is kind of a molecule, you need to know that in order to swap a molecule, normally you would do that with another molecule, but that means it's novel food, that means it takes 10 years till you get it onto the European market because the food regulations are so strict. And therefore we thought, okay, that can't be it. It can't be true that we cannot bring any good tasting sugar substitute on the market in Europe, and that we just have to eat out what's available. And there's nothing really that is compensating for what sugar normally brings into something. So therefore, for example, you can think like chocolate has a lot of fat. Then you have like bakery goods, they have a lot of water, so everything needs something else in order to work the exact same way like sugar. And our mission is to build kind of exactly that replacement by building up a formula that does that. It's a bit complicated, but I hope you get it.
I sure think the science behind that is pretty complicated. But how did you come up with the process? How did you come up with the idea, and did you already have a co-founder?
So yeah, that's actually a funny story, because we already heard today that mostly founders pivot. It was the exact same thing for me. So my grandma was like a confectionist, and she was like baking her whole life, like for almost the whole village, every day, even having a TV station in the kitchen. And I was like, wow, like she loves it. And then she got diabetes. And I was thinking like, do we need to get rid of the taste? Can we not eat anything sweet anymore? Do I need to retire just because I cannot bake? Why is it all related to sugar? Why is it related to something that we should not consume and that we overconsume? And then I was like, okay, maybe we can make sugar-free bakery goods. And we were trying out, and I was buying in stuff from Europe and beyond, and nothing worked. And that was actually when we said, okay, we need to start at a way, way bigger mission, and we really need to dig into the chemistry, we really need into the solution on itself, and that's when we actually started with building the sugar substitute.
So you were talking about we. Did you start your firm together with someone, or?
Yeah, so I think we'll come to that later, because co-founder finding is quite a tricky thing. But at the beginning I was alone, because I had the idea alone, and it was quite tough to find the right people, because I knew that I don't have the right skills in everything. I mean, you can't be good in everything, right? So it was very important for me to find the right people, and it took a while till I found them. And it takes time, and I wish I would have known what I know now, because I think it would have been way faster. But when we applied for the Avenue, the co-founder team was complete. But this does not mean that it's a must. So if you really have a strong idea, maybe it takes a year till you find the right person. Maybe it takes you less. But what matters is that if you're really convinced into something, that you just keep going and that you are resilient on it.
So how was the Entrepreneurship Avenue helpful within this process of finding co-founders, doing your pitches, learning how to speak, and?
So I think when we started out, it was just like the idea. It was like, okay, we didn't know much about how can I make that possible, what are the regulations, how do I pitch, like, I remember that I was always afraid to pitch. I mean, there's so many eyes on me, and like, I don't know if something happens, or like everyone's gonna see it, like what's gonna happen. But then I was like, yeah, but why would I care? Like, they all walk home and they all forget, and that was when we were like, okay, we're just on this journey, we're just applying, and if I fail, I fail. I mean, we fail all the time. It's part of human being, and if we don't fail, we don't grow. So we were like, okay, we thought we were way too early for the program, but then we were like, okay, just do it. And I think it was very important that we had like deadlines. We always got a structure to what we should have done until that. I think it really helps, because otherwise at the beginning you're like, okay, I'm studying, and next to that I'm just trying to do something. I'm just trying to be there to live the nice lifestyle of an entrepreneur, going to events, talking about some shit I don't have any idea of yet. And it was like, okay, no, I really have to have the right people around me. And I think that's exactly what the Avenue is all encouraging you to do, to talk to other people, to get the opinions of people who are ahead of you, like the mentors, to go beyond what you thought is possible in that short time. Like for us, it was literally the kickoff.
Perfect. So you're talking about structures, deadlines, and the mentors who supported you in finding the way for that. So we would like to have like a quick lookout of what the Entrepreneurship Avenue, and for instance these labs which are coming up, are going to look like for you if you're participating. And I think Lisa can support me on that. It's very helpful going to the labs and getting networks, having the professional mentors supporting you, and having those deadlines and structures. So I would invite Moritz and Marie, the heads of the labs and the conference team, to the stage to introduce what's going to happen.
Yeah, hi, thank you for the quick introduction. I think what you just said fits in perfectly what we're all about. You're never too early to participate. That's what the lab series is all about. This year, just like all the other years, we will start off with an idea presentation lab, where you will not only be able to present your own ideas, listen to the presentations of others, but you'll also be able to find team members and come up with a team with which you can then participate in the rest of the labs. The second one this year, for example, is brand new and is focused on business modeling. Especially for non-business students, in the past we figured that it was really important to get some further input on how to come up with a real business model if you just start with a basic idea. And then Manuel mentioned it, our great mentors in our third lab, you will get one-on-one input on your specific business model, on your idea, and on how you can improve in the future. And then, of course, a business model and even a business is nothing worth if you can't talk about it. So we have a pitch training lined up for you right after that, where you'll also prepare for the demo day, where you will, in front of an expert jury, be able to present your idea and be able to qualify to present your idea and win prizes at the conference.
I have now the honor to introduce you to our biggest event, the Grand Finale of this event series, the conference. You might ask yourself why you should join. So there are many, many reasons. First, we have a startup fair, we have an investors alley, a partners workshop, we have real job chat, so you can get to know your next employer, and also inspiring speakers, of course, free drinks, free food. So yeah, there are many reasons, but the most exciting part is the final pitch award. So the top 10 teams out of the lab series have the opportunity to be on stage in front of 1,500 students, partners, startups, and just pitch their idea. And they cannot just have a unique experience, of course. They can gain a lot of prizes, win prize money, and get a lot of exposures. Yeah. So I hope this was convincing. I would be very happy to see as many of you. And yeah, I will now let you continue to talk.
Thank you, Marie and Moritz. So, Lisa, you went through all those stages with the labs and the mentors, and you went in front of 1,500 people and pitched your final pitch and won. How did you experience it?
So I was very nervous. I think that's totally normal. I think what this is all about is to break kind of your boundaries. And I think what also matters is like, you see that I won now this competition, but there was like so hard times where I didn't win anything. There were times where we applied for the first funding, which is like the basic funding if you're below 30 years old. We had to apply 4 times till we made it because everyone was telling us it's impossible. You're never gonna make it. Food never makes it. Food is boring, but we daily eat, right? And I think what this is all about is that you don't worry about failing because it's what matters. And also like that, I think that every no brings you closer to a yes. And it's just about how many no's do I have to get till I get the yes. And for us, the Entrepreneurship Avenue was the first yes.
Wow, that sounds like a way I've never experienced before, but you made it. So what did you do after the Entrepreneurship Avenue? What came after the conference day?
Yeah. I think I have to, is that where, am I?
You're going backwards.
Yeah, that's good.
There's the point is at the laptop.
Ah, okay, never mind. Okay, I wanted to show it. Well, I went traveling, kind of. So we went to a lot of international competitions, actually. I went to Denmark, to Sweden, to the Netherlands. I was pitching in front of international juries. We got invited to China. I was in China, and I was like, wow, this is so amazing. I'm traveling. I get paid for it. And then I was like, wow, what about the product? Who's going to build the product when I'm always traveling? And so I think we pretty fast came to the realization that all of that is nice, but all of that will not make us earn money with it. So we actually started to really build a product development team, to find the right people, to find supervisors, to build up everything from the basics, like really building up a financial model. What is my revenue stream? Where do I get the money from? Who's going to invest? How much am I worth? Like, if you don't have any product on the market, how do you want to say what you're going to raise? Like, it's just estimation, and there's so many things you need to learn. How do I hire the right people? When can I hire people? Can I hire people before I'm founded? So I think for us it was very important afterwards to clear all of that points. Also, if I don't get a patent, how am I going to scale? How can I license? And then we had another pivot where we saw, okay, the prototype we're building currently is not sufficient. It's not going to work out. So we had to do it another time, read another 9 months into fully development of a new prototype, which we validated 1 month ago. So it was really a hard journey, but I think the Entrepreneurship Avenue was just the first time we succeeded. We never succeeded until then, never. We didn't win anything. And once that one point was done, it was like, okay, and now we're just going for it. If I don't make it, I don't make it, next. And then you find the right people, and then you find also the right opportunities.
That sounds terrific. I mean, all the impact that the Entrepreneurship Avenue gave you, the first yes, it started your journey, and so for example, for the first labs, the people can find their co-founders if they need one. And what do you think is the most important tip you can give an aspiring entrepreneur? Or
I think it's important to do a co-founder profile, and this sounds like super boring, but you really need to know what am I good in and what am I bad in. And I really made a list with all those things, like, okay, I like to talk in front of people, I'm good with sales, I'm good with communication, good with innovation, but I suck with data, I suck with finance, I don't understand the chemistry as I should. And that was, okay, this is what's left, and this is where I need to find people. So it's really important that you have also a diversified set of founders, that everyone has different backgrounds, everyone has different skills. What's really important is that there's one rule. It's agree on 80% but disagree on 20%. And I think if you, for example, I noticed it at the beginning, if you don't have the same goal, if you don't have the same vision, and the way that to get there is so much different, it doesn't make sense. So you have to have the same core values, and already the vision has to be the same. And then it's about that you find people which come with different backgrounds, who have different experiences. I think that's what matters.
Well, thank you for sharing all your experience you have had so far. And I have one little question for you. What are you doing? What are your goals in the next 3 years?
That's a good one. Because I think, startup, I can make you predictions and say we're going to be, I don't know, we're going to be a unicorn, or we're going to be this, and we're going to be that. I think the most important thing is for me that I'm doing everything the best that I can. So for us, it would be now we're filing the patent, we're doing clinical trials on the colon because we need to prove the laxative effects. We're doing fundraising. After fundraising, we will hire the first people. When hiring the first people, we prepare for scaling up. I think that's important. Like, if I see myself in 3 years and I can look back and say I did all that was possible, then I think I'm going to succeed.
Thank you so much. So I would open up the panel for a discussion if the people in the audience have questions for you, Lisa. Anyone? I can see the man right in the back in the middle.
I have a question to you in terms of choosing the right team. I think it's a very crucial one. When you start looking for people, how, like you just mentioned, there's lots of stuff that you don't really know about, and that's why you hire a team that has this information so you can produce the product and create a startup. The question is, how can you trust the skills that of these people that you yourself don't really have enough knowledge about? Thank you.
You mean like trusting in myself or trusting in my team without
No, I
knowing
mean
them?
trusting in the people that you're going to hire, like
Yeah.
when you're looking for different skill sets in people.
Yeah, so I think it's very crucial that you spend a lot of time together. So what I'm doing is like I have that founder profile of myself and what I'm looking for, and it's really important that if that person falls out on most of the criteria, even if you like them, that doesn't matter. Like it really has to fit. So have really like must-haves on point and stick to them, even if it takes longer. What also is important, I have like I can send you that I have built up a co-founder questionnaire. It's 75 questions long, and it really covers everything, which is important. And I think it's really important that at the beginning, if you have a lot of stuff to do, really put it to the side and really spend time with your co-founder. Go through the details. Are they motivated? Do they want to go abroad in a year? What are their private goals also? And does that work together with the startup and what you're doing? And at the end, you always have to trust people because you don't know. I mean, people can tell you they work for this and that company, but that does not show how hard will they work. It just shows, okay, they got employed, right? So I think it's really about finding out, give them tasks where you think they are needed, ask them about opinions, ask critical questions, and be honest.
But would you agree that professionality is more important than choosing friends to start a startup with?
Yeah, I think choosing friends, it makes sense. Maybe it works. I mean, I'm not co-founding with any of my friends. Not because I don't like them, but because I think it is very important that you get the different backgrounds in you needed. And my friends would have just, maybe it would have been nice and it would have been cool, but on the long run, I don't know, one is now in South Korea and one is like doing now, she's like studying medicine, so it wouldn't have, done anything to do with the business I want to build. So therefore, I would always try to go with people who have the same vision. And I mean, look at all the people there, right? So much opportunity. Like every one of the people sitting there could be your potential co-founder, could help you to build a unicorn, could help you also to bootstrap a very nice and profitable business, right? Both is possible. It's just about going to people and trying it out.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
We have another question right in front.
Hi again. What do you think about NEO? Are your business models similar at all?
I love to have that question. Okay, so the one thing I'm gonna say is it's nice that they also bash sugar like we do. I think they're a good marketing company. I think that's nice, and they're good in that. We are more on the technical side. We are really building something that is patentable. I think it's nice that they already raise awareness, and maybe we can get them as our clients.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your talk. It was really insightful. One question I would have is, how has your business model changed over the time, and how did you manage to come up with like new ideas for it?
Yeah, good question. So at the beginning, as I was saying, we were trying to do sugar-free like bakery stuff. We went to Heinrich Prokop from 2 minutes to million, and we went there and we're like, hey, taste that. How does it taste? And then it was like, we noticed that you don't make much money with that, and also you don't have a big impact because nobody knows your brand, and also the sugar substitute was not good. So we were like, okay, if I'm producing a sugar substitute, and we don't have one for everything. Like for 5 use cases, we have 5 different ones, because again, like sugar has in different use cases, different functions. And now our business model is that we are going B2B, because therefore I don't have the high marketing costs. It's easier to scale, it's easier to close up on bigger deals. I think it's easier if you don't have to rely on a lot of individuals, but rather like big companies. And our business model works that in Europe we will also like ship the sugar substitute in tons, and moreover we will start licensing out of Europe when we have the patent ready. And it's normal that business models change.
Hi. I really find it interesting, this whole product which you present, and I'm really curious, you're working with a research group or together?
So we are 5 people, and 3 of them are solely based on food technology, food chemistry. 1 is doing business development, and I'm in between because I did nutritional science and then management, so I kind of...
So you're actually also one of the researchers.
I'm also part of it, but I'm like more the one who's like more in the innovative thinking part, rather than the one who's then actually like digging into the science.
I understand, because I would really actually expect to speak also with one of the researchers for this whole stuff. And I was thinking that he will be here or she will be here, also someone from the project.
I mean, you can ask me all the questions. I know all of the technical stuff as well.
Perfect. Maybe after it.
Sure.
Sure. Thank you.
Hi. I would be really interested in, let's say, the value proposition part of your idea, and also how, if at all, and also how did you validate the major, let's say, pain points of the customer? How did you, what was the process of, let's say, knowing or having a rough estimation that the product that you are developing is gonna be bought by the end consumers?
I think one of the most important things is that you get early customer feedback. That you really, otherwise you're building something that you like, but maybe nobody else likes it. So I think the most important thing is that you go out and that you just ask big companies, do you need that? What exactly do you need? Like I was showing the USPs, do you need all of the USPs? Probably not. So, and then you would stick out, okay, like if I'm doing like 30 interviews, what is the majority of the customers, or clients, business partners demanding? And that's where you then put the most effort in. And in terms of the ingredients, so I cannot say everything because we are currently in the patent filing process, so hopefully like in 6 months it will be more disclosable. But what is important is like you have the high intensive sugarness, like high intensive sweeteners, like sucralose, acesulfam K, stevia. They don't have the same proportion, they're mostly synthetical, they have an aftertaste. Then you have sugar alcohols like xylitol, Birkenzucker for example, or erythrit. Erythrit sticks in the blood, for example, and has only 70% of sweetness, and all of them have laxative effects. So you will, literally, if you eat too much, you sit the whole day on the toilet. And for us, it was like, okay, how can I get the sweetness to sugar, no laxative effects, and stay 100% natural? And it actually works through synergetic effects. Meaning that if you put one thing with another thing together with another thing, it kind of forms the composition that sugar would bring into something. And you need to make sure that all of the raw materials, when you set them together, that they don't have any bad effects on your body. So you have different things. On one side, it's the sensorial part, and one thing is the techno-functional part. And then it's about, is it regulated? Can it make it into the EU? So it's all those files. And at the beginning, we built a design of experiment. It was like 20,000 different options. And then you build it down, and you set parameters, you build it down, and then you try and error. And that's how we did it.
And may I ask, would you say that you focused more on qualitative research when doing the validation, or also quantitative?
Good question. I think you need to be selective because you can't read every research article. So you really need to look, okay, where do you have the most hope to find something interesting in? And then like when you already have the parameters and you already know what you have to base it on, it's important that you check out each of the ingredients if they were tested already in different things. We're using plant-based isolations. They're not used in sweetening yet, so I need to use, was it ever used in medicine? Was it ever used in making things or taking the due date longer? Was that used if you, I don't know. You know, you need to find like certain specific things about each component. And then you plug it into ChatGPT or ask PDF or something like that because it makes it faster. So you can make use also of AI in terms of being faster with your research process. Or you ask the right people or the ones who are actually publicating the research paper you're reading because they know even more about it.
Thank you. So finding a right co-founder is difficult and time-taking. And also it's true that businesses has to pivot based on how the market is responding. So have you ever faced a situation where you are convinced of a pivot, but your co-founder is not? And if not, then also like, do you have any suggestions on how we go about it?
You mean like when there's a co-founder clash or when you notice that something, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that. I went through that twice. It is very important in terms of that you, when you start feeling that something is not right, that you really be transparent about it and open up about that you tell your co-founder about your feelings. And then it's about, is the person reflective? Does the person see it the same way? I think what also makes sense at the beginning is that you get to, like normally there's so much mentoring out there. Like really in Vienna you have really a lot of opportunities to get mentoring. Try to find a mentor, try to fix the problem. If you can't fix the problem, then you have to make a decision. And it's mostly about who will be most responsible for the success. Is it you or is it the other person? And then you know who should stay. Also an important thing is always have a co-founder agreement. Even at the beginning, have set who brings in what and when is a person out. Because even if you have not founded the business yet, someone might claim that they did this and that, even though it was free will and there was no contract. So make sure that this is also set up from the beginning, exactly who's putting what in.
Okay, so if like we get in a situation, if so we need a particular type of pivot to succeed, we know about it, the data like validates it, but the co-founder who is really responsible to drive that path is not convinced, then also because looking for some other person with the same responsibilities is also another challenge.
Yeah, so I think at the beginning everyone has to be full-time. Not at the beginning, maybe if you're such an early stage and people are studying, but you need to be 100% sure that you will work full-time on it. Otherwise, and full-time does not mean 40 hours, that means 80 hours if you have to. And that means working through nights if you have to, and that means staying together and being resilient. And if you notice a person is always criticizing, always, throw him out.
Thanks.
Do we have? So we have time for another question. I think one in front.
Thank you. Okay, so my question is, in your experience, how do you find the right people with? But I do not mean employees. The people with the right information that's not necessarily public. So let me give you an example. If you, I don't know, want to start something into a certain industry, let's say in medical industry, and you have a I don't know, system of something, you kind of need to know how the already existing system works so that you don't want to change the whole industry, you just want to make one part of it better. Another example is, I don't know, in cases of institutions, if you want to create some, I don't know, data management system, some type of that, again, you have to know how this existent one is already working in, details sometimes maybe. And, that's not information that you can get from anyone. Have you ever encountered this, especially in the beginning?
You mean like, I'm not quite sure if I understand you correctly. Is it like that you are building something and you're not sure if it's already been built?
No.
Or if it that you're looking for a person which can build something but you don't have the person yet?
No.
None of it.
So you're building something, it's better because of what you're doing, and but you don't know exactly if the industry is gonna accept your product.
Okay, yeah, that's why I said at the beginning it's very important that you gain feedback from your potential clients. Just approach them, and I don't mean going to your next startup buddy friends who say, oh yes, let's try it out. I mean really going to big corporates, texting them, go to the exhibitions. At the exhibitions, you meet the people in person. At the beginning, nobody wants to talk to you because you're not founded yet and you don't have any money and nobody knows you. So really go to the people face to face, tell them what you need. Also what matters is get warm intros. If you know, never underestimate networking. If you know someone and you think the person is not right for you, maybe they know someone. That's also what you can do with finding your co-founders. Is asking people, do you know someone there? Do you know someone who knows someone there? Or just going to platforms. There's a lot of founder platforms. So if the right person is not in the room, you're going to find the right person somewhere else because there's another people looking for people exactly like you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all for this very excellent questions, and thank you, Lisa, for answering them, telling you.
Yeah, if you have any questions, you can just write me an email at lisa@smilingfood.at.
Thank you very much. So, as I've already mentioned in the agenda before, we are going to have our next keynote speaker, Lawrence. Lawrence has launched the ACSL and he has experience for more than 10 years. So I hope the presentation is gonna be on. So big applause for Lawrence and thank you for being here.
Hi everybody. Are we on with the slides?
1 second. Where's it?
Play up there.
Okay.
All right, how's everybody doing? You good? Oh, I got a clicker. Awesome. So I heard just before, I know the Entrepreneurship Avenue. I'm very honored to be here. Thank you very much for having me. But who of you guys actually wants to found a company? Raise of hands. Okay, so when I was probably in your position before I founded the company, I really didn't know that I wanted to do that. So for me, it was just a journey. And today I want to tell you about this journey. Marie was really cool. She sent me a couple questions for you guys to give this whole thing a little bit of direction. And if we have some time left at the end, then I can drop a story on you which just shows what places entrepreneurship can take you and how exciting and how fun it can be. So I think my entrepreneurship journey started with something where I just sat in my room and I thought to myself that I'm really geeking out on some things. Like I'm really geeking out on NBA at the time, so basketball. I was watching basketball. I knew every player, I knew every stat, I knew everything which was going on in basketball. And I knew a lot about sneakers. Like I'm a big sneakers guy, love to collect sneakers. And I always thought like, if I know so much about these topics, can I actually make a business out of it? Or is my knowledge worth something? So who of you actually has a topic in mind or something in mind where they think like, wow, I know so much about this and that? Just about that. Raise of hands. Okay, let's get an example. What is that? Food. You know a lot about food. Nice. For example, like food, you could do so much with food. In terms of like, we just heard this presentation, which basically was about doing something with food. And what else? Like someone else, raise your hand. Okay, back there, what is your topic? Yes. Optimizing business processes. Awesome. Like you're super valuable, like to anybody. Like to me as an entrepreneur, if you say that, I got you in my lab sitting there working 12 hours a day. No, but that's cool. So basically, I think if you think about entrepreneurship or what characterizes my story, what I try to emphasize is what things are you really passionate about? What are you guys really, really into? And if you make it a business, it won't even feel like work to you and will just develop naturally. And that's where I wanted to start, because if we think about thinking big and starting small, who of you guys knows actually what I do? Who knows the ACSL? Come on, guys. All right. So basically what I do is college sports in Austria. And if you think about it, then the reason why I did it, it wasn't just like, oh, wow, I want to do college sports. That's what I want to do. It's basically much bigger than that. Like the thought, actually, of this thinking big of my business is so much bigger than just like sports or basketball or American football. And it basically all starts with these questions, which I got from Marie, which was like, how did you come up with the idea? How did you see potential for your idea? And why American football in Austria? And the third question is actually not even that relevant. Who knows what that place is? Anybody? Man, y'all suck. That's Princeton University. So that's
Harvard.
Princeton. The reason why I'm showing you this is because I went to high school. I was very blessed because my dad was Spanish, my mom is Austrian. I was born in Brazil. I grew up speaking 4 languages. I learned 2 more. I was fluent in 6 languages. I was playing basketball at school. I was the school captain. I played professional basketball. Like life was so sweet. And I went to school and they told me like, hey, did you ever think about studying at one of the elite universities in the world, like Ivy League? And I said, I didn't think about it, but I'm ambitious enough to try it. What do I have to do? And they had a program at my school which was called Go to Ivy. And they had me out there doing the Matura, right after the Matura studying for the SATs, right after that writing a shitload of essays, like really essays over essays about who I am, what I do, what's my favorite food, what's my favorite music. And if Princeton asks you to write about your favorite food, like be skeptic. Like it's not gonna be like, I like Marillenknödel. It's gonna be a very elaborate essay or a chance to prove that you're actually smart. So I went through all of this. I got invited to an interview at Princeton. I did my SATs, I was there, and they basically said like, we really like you. You seem like an awesome candidate. If you hit your SAT scores, you're gonna be in. So I was 18, 19, and I was like, wow, I'm going to Princeton University. And in 2008, 2009, that's how old I am, the economic crisis hit. And they cut international scholarships. And I was basically 1 foot into Princeton, and they already said like, yeah, we got your study place, we just have to figure out a few more things concerning finances and whatever about your scholarship you're getting, and we're gonna get back to you. Well, they did get back to me, and they told me, you're not gonna be able to study at Princeton. You're not gonna be able to study your year at Princeton. The only thing you can do is you can do a placeholder year where you pay around 50K without living expenses, and you have a placeholder year, and maybe you get your place next year. And at the time, also with my parents being entrepreneurs, they didn't have the funds, they didn't have the money. They said like, it's not gonna be possible for you. And I wasn't confident enough to take out a credit on a maybe. So I ended up in this place. Beautiful. This is old VU. I don't know if you guys know it, but it's as horrible as it looks on this picture. It was so bad. Like I can tell you, if you are on Princeton campus, you're wearing the sweatshirt, you're there, you got a dude telling you like, man, we really like you. You're gonna be here next year. You're gonna do big things. And then you go to this, and you have like all the people you know from high school who were like not busting their ass in school, not doing SATs after Matura, not spending all their summer in a dungeon studying, who are like, oh yeah, I already completed the first 4 exams where you're at. And you're like, oh, well, I'm starting at 0. And then on top of all of that, I sucked at it. Absolutely sucked at studying at university. Came to VU, and I thought like, I was expecting this to be my college experience, and it actually was this. I was sitting there, everybody was like, university is not supposed to be fun. It's gonna be hard. Like it's not a teamwork thing. It's not an enjoyable thing where you meet people and you have a great study experience and it's gonna be so amazing, whatever. It's gonna be a tough battle, you're gonna get through it, and then you finish, and then you got your degree, and then you can get a job. And I thought, this is so shit. This is so shit. Like, how can it be so shit? How can I be trapped in this system right now? I gave it everything I had to get out of this, and now I'm exactly at what I didn't want to be at. And then I saw the big opportunity. So one day, I'm sitting there in English class with a friend, and my friend, he's like, yo, Lawrence, have you seen the exchange opportunities? And I didn't even want to hear it. Like, I just went to VU to take my classes, go home. I didn't give a damn about it. And he told me, like, have you seen it, though? And I'm like, what? Like, what is it going to be? Is it going to be anything of interest? And he's like, yeah, you can go to, like, 100 schools in the US. And I was like, wait a minute. Let's check it out. So I checked it out, ran over there, and I saw the University of Kentucky. Guess how many applicants there were to do a semester abroad from Vienna at the University of Kentucky? There are 4 available places. 0. Absolute 0 applications. I went there, a funny story, like I could talk for 2 hours, but I'm just saying, I went there and I sucked at university. You know, you go like from being super good at high school to absolutely sucking at university, and then you apply for a semester abroad. So I went for Kentucky, I went for Florida, I went for Texas. I go to the interview for Texas. There are like 5 guys, 4 of them don't even speak proper English. One dude, for some reason, has straight A's on every university exam. My GPA sucked, but I was sitting there and I was telling them I was supposed to go to Princeton. I know everything about US universities. You can send me literally anywhere and I will represent WU Wien accordingly and it will be a great choice. And they were all like, oh yeah, you're great, but your grade sucks, so nah, you're not going there. So I dropped out of Texas, I dropped out of North Carolina after sitting with this dude 3 hours. It was supposed to be a 20-minute interview. 3 hours over lunch talking about Michael Jordan, who studied at North Carolina University, and speaking about like how cool it would be to go there. He's like, you're the perfect candidate. But this other girl, she got like a better GPA. I'm gonna send her. And I was freaking out. And then I go to the interview at Kentucky, and I knock at the door, and the office lady was like, oh yeah, she's gonna be ready for you in a minute. And I am just waiting around the corner, and I hear the interviewer in the room saying like, we have 1 application for 4 places, and they send us the biggest idiot they could find. Like, how can you have such a bad GPA studying business? Business is such an easy topic. Like, how can you be so bad? And I was just losing it. I was like, you were supposed to go to Princeton, and then you're like applying for something where you're the only applicant and people are discussing if they're actually sending you there. And I turn around the office door, I look at her, and she's like, oh shit, he heard that. And I was like, lady, I'm gonna be honest here. I absolutely hate it at this university. I can't stand it to go here one more day. This is the only bright light on my horizon to make a change. If you think I'm too stupid to send me there, I'm gonna quit this shit anyways. So decide whatever you want to do. So then I had a great talk with her, and then she was like, you know what, you're going to Kentucky. And boy, was that a good decision. I arrived at the University of Kentucky. Why did I choose it? It's one of the world's best basketball universities. It produces 2 or 3 NBA players each year. I just wanted to see that. I just wanted to have that college experience. I finally wanted to have that US study experience. It was not Princeton. Academically, it was surely not Princeton. But it was a good university and was fun, and it had that college touch to it. So I arrive in Kentucky, 4th of January, 6th of January is the first home game. The first thing I do there is I make sure I get a ticket to the first home game. I go to the first home game, super nice people, they're all welcoming me, they're all like, yeah, man, you have the Kentucky spirit, it's awesome, man, we're going to the game, we're all Wildcats. And there's like, hey, Austrian boy, you gotta stand front row. And I was standing there front row, 24,000 people in the stadium, and they have this tradition that to every season start of the SEC, Southeastern Conference season, they pull out 1 celebrity to greet the students. And they have this tradition where they come up on field and they say K-E-N-T-U-C-K, and the Y is done by a celebrity. So the cheerleaders run out, they do all the letters, the lights turn down, spotlight goes on, and it's Drake, and he's doing the Y, and he's saying, welcome to the best university in the world. And right there and then, this moment, I was like, hell yes. Finally, I'm here. And the biggest party over the next 6 months ensued that you can imagine. They won the national championship. On the night of the national championship was in this 300,000 inhabitant city. There were 2 million people. Everybody united in this University of Kentucky spirit. And there was this one Heureka moment that I had when I was standing there, how I came up with my idea, where I stood in the stadium and I was looking up and I was like, okay, I'm an absolute basketball freak, I'm an NBA freak, I know every player, I know every stat, I know everything about basketball here. But the other 23,000 which were here, they actually don't know. And they actually don't care. They're not that into basketball. Like they're not even like big time fans. The only thing they say is like, hey, we are Kentucky and they are Florida. So we're gonna beat them. And there's an event around it. And the study experience was unbelievable. Like we had I had such a big network after going out of the University of Kentucky, like 60, 70 people that I'm still in touch with to this day, and I can rely on to this day. And when I finished WU University, maybe like 3 people. Maybe like 3 people that I stay in contact with. And I hear this to this day still, that people say that. That, yeah, I went to university, it was kind of cool, wasn't bad. I was just doing my thing. And yeah, maybe 2 or 3 people I'm going to stay in touch with over long term. And the thing is, I was standing there and I was realizing it's not about the sport. It's about identity. It's about a feeling. It's about a community. It's about common spirit that the people share. That's what college sports does. And it changes this whole university experience. And suddenly, from what I absolutely hated, going to VU and studying there, it turned out in my head to the biggest opportunity. To the biggest opportunity because I was in love with basketball, I was in love with designing, I love to design too. Like all the logos you see in the ACSL, the jerseys, the merchandise, everything, I did that. And I was in love with having this kind of experience, like standing there in the US, feeling this energy, feeling this amazing study experience, and thinking like, I could bring this home. And I even think that at home, we have so much more opportunity than they have in the States. Because the University of Kentucky is like 50 years old, 60 years old. They call it the Wildcats because maybe one day a cat strolled by and they're like, oh, we're the Wildcats. We're rich in tradition and history. They're not. We are. And I thought like the whole of Europe has so much more to offer. So that's where the idea came. And what is because Marie sent me that question about why does it have potential? Because I stood there and I saw that for all of the 24,000, it dictated their study experience. If you may, a stupid game of basketball. And it's not about like loving basketball. So the third question, like why American football or why basketball, it doesn't even matter that much. It doesn't even matter. People get into the sports after they buy into the identity, but the first thing they buy into is the identity, and it makes a study experience, it makes a common identity that is insane. And to this day, if I wear a University of Kentucky shirt and I walk through Vienna, I have a bigger chance that somebody is like, go Big Blue or go Wildcats, and we instantly hit it off in a talk and we instantly vibe, than if I would wear a VU Wien shirt. And I want to change that. And I want to change that. I want to change that we at VU, if we go anywhere in the world, we can share a common spirit, and we can share memories, and we can share basically the best time of our lives. And going on to this next question, how did people first react? Did you have any negative feedback or reactions? I also want to go back to this point of like thinking big, starting small. So how do you start? How do you start an entire culture change for European education? Like let's put my idea into a frame. It's not about saying, oh yeah, I'm passionate about basketball and I wanted to bring college basketball here. No, I'm changing the way you guys study. I'm changing the way the whole life after the studies are going to pan out. So you're basically changing the whole culture. So how do you start? And the biggest thing is when you start, it's just, if you have that feeling, if you have that energy, that you have found something where you can put all your energy towards to, and that you can be so passionate about, then just start doing it. Just start doing the things that are fun to you. Don't think about it. If I would have made a business plan for the ACSL before starting, probably I would have never started. Because how much money have I raised or put into this project over the past 9 years? It's 9 years. I don't know, it's about 3.5 million and so much time that I can't even put a number on it, so it might be 10 mil. And it's so many layers and so many learnings that if you really would have written it down and really like say, okay, I need this, and I need this, I need the universities, I need that, I need the politics, I need a stadium, and I need this, that. You'd never even start. So it started very small. I was on that big high coming back from Kentucky, And I had all this energy. And honestly, when I was at the airport in Kentucky, ready to fly back home, ready to fly back to VU Wien, I was shaking. I was like, damn, I gotta go back. I don't wanna go back. And I will miss this. I will miss this a lot. So basically, the only thing I could do is make a change to my life. So either I say, okay, I change everything, I change my whole studies to the US, and I take all the credit, and I pay the tuition fees and all that kind of stuff, and I finish my studies in the US, and I look to live in the US, or I come back home, and I start something. And something in the beginning was very small. And it was just that I missed this college experience. And I thought about it, it's so nice to have something like that. And of course, as a basketball player, I was never good enough to play Division I college, especially not in Kentucky. But I was good enough to play in Austria. So I was like, I might make a VU team and play my friends over at Juridicum, because I think also this Entrepreneurship Avenue thing is about connecting universities. So I had a friend at Juridicum, and he was like, yeah, we're gonna bust your ass. And I was like, no, you're not. And I was like, I could do a logo for the team, I could do jerseys, we could make an event out of it, and we could do the same for the Juridicum, and we could play against each other. And the first plan was, for the ACSL, was to play a game right in front of the VU library. If any of you remembers, a couple months later, one of these big concrete plates from VU library dropped down exactly where I wanted to play the game. It was kind of like a sign. I was standing there, I was like, good that I didn't start that earlier. But just saying, so that was the first plan. It was just one game. And even before I did that one game, I did a game for friends. And we played basically my hometown, which is Berndorf in Niederösterreich, against the next hometown, which was Pottenstein. And we had a Berndorf-Pottenstein basketball game. And it was insane. And it was about identity, and it was about rivalries, and it was testing this little concept in a very, very small scale, and it was super fun. And then when I started with the ACSL, I started with the one team, I started with the second team at Juridicum, and then I went to play basketball, and then people came up to me and they were like, yo, aren't you the dude who's trying to do college sports? Why isn't there a team at MedUni? And I was like, hey, now that you mention it, why isn't there a team at MedUni? Let's put in a MedUni team. And I just went for one more team. And at the MedUni tryout, there were people from TU who were saying like, how is TU not in this? And I'm like, oh, let's take TU too. And after TU, there was one from Boku, and after Boku, there was one from the sports faculty. So it was 6 teams, and then I was like, damn, it kind of seems like it's a league already. So I kind of slipped into it without a business plan, without anything, just with passion and this vision of maybe changing the way people study in Austria. How was it perceived when you first presented the idea? Well, very fun fact. I was an absolute greenhorn. And a friend of a friend came up to me and she was like, oh, I'm writing for the newspaper, Der Standard, and they want to do a story about you. They want to do a story about what you do. And I, complete greenhorn, super naive, told her everything. I was like, yeah, and I want to do this, and it would be cool if the universities would be part of it, and I need some sponsors, and this and that. And I thought she's going to give the whole thing a positive spin. Well, she didn't. She gave it a spin in the sense that she was like, oh, this is Lawrence, and he's in front of the university, and doors are closed because poor Lawrence is not getting supported by the university, and boohoo, bad university, you should have college sports. Absolute shitstorm ensued. I mean, you know the Standard Forum. You guys know the Standard Forum, yeah? I mean, the people are ruthless, right? So basically, they were saying all this stuff about there's nothing worse for the economy if you would bring anything from America here. Then other people said like a revolution that you announce is never gonna happen. This dude was saying like this dude, he should wear some decent pants and should drop his stupid jacket and he should focus on real problems, yeah. And yeah, this dude was like, oh, these blue jackets he designed himself, what an idiot. Stop that. And another dude was like, hey, there's Uzi, there's Unisport Austria. We're doing great things, guys. We don't need this. okay? And I was never concerned because I was thinking like, okay, shit, like this article was really not what I was trying to say. It was out of my power. But I can tell you, so many people came up to me and were like, Lawrence, that's really bad. That's really bad. You should stop right now. That's super embarrassing. And I was like, why? And they were like, no, this is so bad. Like your name, you're never gonna get a job. Oh my God. People are gonna think so bad of you. Well, funny story, 10 years later, my phone rings. This was like 2 weeks ago. Guy calls me from the Standard, and he's like, hey, Lawrence, you're the founder of the ACSL, right? And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, oh, we want to do a story about you. It's so amazing what you built. It's so amazing. I'm like, kind of skeptic. I'm like, dude, did you ever like look in the archives and read this old article? And he's like, no, I didn't. So he didn't even know about it. So they wrote the article. The article is way different. It's about like, wow, he built this. It's so amazing. It changed the culture. So many people are happy. Thousands of fans. So many sponsors. Like he built it up so big. The comments were exactly the same. The comments were exactly the same. Sowas gehört nicht gefördert. Yeah? You should not support that. There were other people like, why would you do that? Other people saying like, there's not a decent swimming pool in my proximity, and you're thinking about this. How could you? I want to swim, you know? And yeah, so you would have critics all over the place. And I can tell you one thing, it doesn't even matter. Like it doesn't even matter what the people think or say or what they think of your idea or whatever. If you, especially that's also why I asked if you guys are experts at something. If you are experts at something, then be the expert. Like just do it. Do it, and no matter what the other people say, it really does not matter. And in terms of like getting jobs, the other day I was in Brooklyn, New York, and of course, if you tell people that you basically own college sports, they're like, damn, Mr. Billionaire, we didn't know. And of course, you have to tell them it's slightly different, but they kind of looked into it, and they were looking for a CEO for the Brooklyn Nets in terms of their fan culture, like their whole community thing. They have like some kind of like top level position. And they offered me $350K to do that, to move to New York, get $350K in salary, work for the Brooklyn Nets for an NBA team, which is insane. Like 10 years ago, I would have been like, wow. And they really lost their shit when I was saying, no, I have my Sportverein back in Austria and I'm not going. like I'm building this and it is worth more to me than working for an NBA team, which at 18, I would have had my luggage packed before he even finishes his sentence. Yeah, so where did you find your biggest support? I'm telling you, I built this during my studies also. So when I finished my bachelor's, I started with the WU Tigers. When I started the ACSL, I was doing my CEMS Master at WU Wien, or the ACSLs. I did my CEMS Masters, right? And during my Masters, everybody was like, oh, that's your little fun project. Once you're done with studying, you're gonna get a real job. And I was like, bro, I kind of want to do this. And people were always like disregarding it and saying, yeah, during your studies, it's not bad. So then I finished my studies, end of 2017. I founded the ACSL as a company. First year, I got punched in the face so hard that I almost didn't get back up. I lost like 90K the first year. Because we invested. We had employees. Employees is the most expensive thing you can have as an entrepreneur, especially in Austria. It's crazy. We had employees. We had bigger events. We took risks that we thought we could handle. We had so many new challenges because before we were just operating the ACSL, but we were just a sports club. We were not a company. And as soon as we turned company, like all the money was just, you had to make so much more money to just stay afloat, right? And I made all these mistakes and lost a lot. And I lost a lot to a point where it was really looking bad. And then your friends, your girlfriend, your family, who all mean well with you, and everybody is like, oh, we just want the best for you. but they don't like risk, and they're very risk averse, and they all said like, man, you really gotta stop, bro. This is really hurting you. This is not good for you. And I was like, I gotta work my way out of it. And when I just managed to work my way out of it, and I had 2 sponsoring contracts with very big firms lined up for 80K and for 50K, which was 130K, which back then for me was really kind of like fixing my problems for now. COVID hit. And I lost it all. Lost the sponsoring contracts, I was still in debt, everything I built up was basically stopped in the tracks. And it was really, really bad in the sense that there was no perspective, because when COVID started, basically the story when COVID started was this. The ORF, Austrian National Television, called me, and they were like, hey, dude, you've been lobbying for this for 3 years. We want to do a live transmission of your basketball finals. And I was like, yo, we're going to be on national TV. Man, that's the big jump. That's what we wanted. That's for the sponsors. That's for everybody. And they said they want to do this. We signed the contract. We got everything lined up. Everything was perfect. It was supposed to happen on the 14th of March, 2020. On the 10th of March 2020, I'm standing there in Stadthalle, and the camera guys from ORF come by, and they tell me like, oh, we're just going to test the light to see how we're going to film this. It's going to be so cool, blah, blah. And then their phone rings, and they're like, oh, shit, we have to go to Rathausplatz because we have to film something about this Asian flu coming over. And I'm like, all right, so how long is that going to take? And they're like, maybe like 1-2 hours. If you guys are still here, then we can finish up here. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to build up for the event. There's no problem. Come back in 2 hours. Well, it was 2 years. It was 2 years. Didn't know at this point. Like, they just called me and they said, like, dude, it's not going to happen. You're not going to have an event. And I'm like, why? Because they're closing down Vienna, like all of it. And then I was like, okay, for how long? Like 2 weeks? 4 weeks? Are we going to postpone this? It's going to be 2 months? Well, it was 2 years. 2 years of fighting, trying to stay afloat. And on top of that, doing the hardest shit I ever had to do. Like fire friends. A lot of the people I've been working with in the ACSL were friends. Are friends to this day. And they understood. But we were high in debt. We were crawling our way back. Pandemic hit. Fire everybody who was not absolutely necessary to continue. And we pulled through and continued. What was the biggest support in that? If even your family, your girlfriend, your friends who mean well with you, but basically say, I can't do it. For me, it was always the people I'm doing it for. So our athletes, our fans, the memories that we created so far for these people are so invaluable. When you see their faces, when you see let's say one of the VO Tigers players, whatever, running out this tunnel at Stadion Hohe Warte with 7,000 people in attendance and like 38,000 on TV watching them. And you see their family, and you see their grandma, and you see their little sister, or whatever, and they are so happy and so proud. And you see like what this whole thing created. This is the only thing that keeps you going. It's the purpose. It's the purpose you have with your idea. It's not the money, because I never made any big money on this. But it's the purpose and the things you create. And the biggest challenges I just told you. So these were definitely the biggest challenges. And one big challenge I also want to touch upon is if you do something that you're really passionate about, on the one side it's a blessing, on the other side it's a curse. Because you have to let go. Many times you have to let go of things that you absolutely love. There will be things that you enjoy so much doing and that you are just in love with, and you think like, that is my brand, that is my vision, that is what I want to do. But then what you do is not making no money and is not keeping you alive, and you have to let go of it, at least for some time. And that was also very, very tough learnings in that sense. And yeah, and it's a couple of these guys. It's a couple of these guys who were there throughout the whole journey, who are always saying like, hey, we keep this going, we would never give up. So how did I choose my first team? Very good question. I think I had a very, very good mechanism of doing this. Because the ACSL started out as a sports club, so it was not a business. So in the sports club, there were just people there voluntarily. So people just volunteered, they were part of it. They showed their spirit, they worked with me on the events, they worked with me on all the stuff that we actually did. So I had basically a 3-year scouting period to decide who I'm gonna found with. And how I'm going to take this to the next level. And this is also something I can tell you where you have to put your ego aside and you have to be very, very wary about, very reflected about what you can bring, what are your strengths, and what other people's strengths that complement that. Because you don't need 3 Lawrences. You would have a lot of talking. And you don't need 3 project managers. You don't need 3 geeks on your team, but you need a good mix. And I think I very much found I'm very proud of that, and that's a big reason for the success that we have in the ACSL. The level of networking across universities, I think that's a very important point also to my team. My team is very diverse, so my partner in the ACSL is from TU. One of my best friends that became one of my best friends that worked in the ACSL is from Boku. I got my marketing manager is actually from TU. I got WU, TU, Uni Wien, Boku, JKU from Linz. So I got a very diverse team from all kind of different angles of universities too. So I think that's very interesting. I mean, it works pretty easily, the networking in my case, because we do sports events for different universities. So we have a stadium and they come together and they drink and they talk. And that's how you network, that's how you come together. And I think also very important for networking is sharing your vision, sharing what you want to do, sharing what you want to become. And I think that has helped uniting everybody, because the idea I propose is something that has a value for everybody involved. And that's also, I think, very important. What else do I have here? Those are some pictures of the people I told you. That's Colin over there. He's my partner in the ACSL. He's from TU. That's Christian. He's from Boku. We went through all the shit. Here on this picture, DJing, that's Mac. And over there, that's Lolo, for example. It's just a couple examples. In the ACSL, it's a huge family. We have like 1,000 athletes, 1,000 people in our sports club, 15 employees to this point. And yeah, it's a good question. How did I manage to get all the sponsors and financial support? How many of you have already pitched to someone? Okay. How many have already acquired money through pitching? A couple. Okay. Yeah. How much money? Everybody who has acquired money, raise your hands, and I'm going to go in money increments. So raise your hands. So let's say 10,000. Okay. 100,000. Okay. Nobody left. Okay. Cool. Very good. It's very impressive, even like raising your first 10,000. I tell you, December 25th, 2015, I got a call from a lady that just thought that I was cute. Cute not in the sense of appearance, cute in the sense of being a greenhorn. She was from a marketing agency, and I pitched to her the idea of the ACSL, and she was sitting there with such a face. Like, she was literally sitting there like this. Aww, that's so cute. And I was pitching, I was like, yeah, and it's like gonna be such a good thing, and it's gonna be so much work for sponsors, and we have this packages and this packages. And at the end of the day, she called me December 25th, that was basically her leftover budget for the year. She was like, I have 5,000 euros sponsoring for you. And I was like, yes. I was so happy. It was the first 5,000 euros in sponsoring. And there was no sales process behind it. There was no acquisition process. There was no data collecting. There was no professional, let's say, networking behind it or anything. Last year, I did around 65 sponsorship presentations, and I raised 750K just for sponsoring, without giving out any equity or anything. That's just straight up sponsoring. Took me 9 years and almost 800 pitches to get to that point. And like a lot of crazy failures. And I have one story for you. I don't know if we're gonna have time for that, but it's super crazy, it's super funny. That's for the end. So what would you recommend people with an idea that seems too big or unrealistic at first? I would say if you really feel it, And if you really feel that you have discovered this something that just ignites you at first, then go for it. And it doesn't even matter what other people say, and you can start super, super small, and the moment you start, your life will change. Because the moment you start, you're gonna talk to people, you're gonna share your idea, you're gonna work on it, you're gonna learn more about it, you're gonna learn more about the solutions. You might encounter a million of problems, but there are also a million of solutions out there. And there are always other people who are smarter, who are further advanced, who have more experience, and they can help you on that way. And honestly, that's what I always say in Austria. That's what I always say in Austria. Who's stopping you? Like, is there anybody, if you would try to do anything in the world right now, who's stopping you? I always say, like, people say America is the land of opportunity, and it is. It is. If you've ever been to the US and if you ever tried to move anything or do something in the US, it's so much quicker to get to know people, and people put you on much quicker, and everything moves quicker. So that's an advantage. But at the same time, it's also much more competitive. There are many other people out there trying to do the same thing as you do at the same time. In Austria, I can tell you, there is a very low probability that there's anybody out there doing the same thing you're doing. There's a very low probability that there's anybody out there bringing the same drive, the same intensity, and the same passion and spirit to it. There's a very low probability that anybody is going to do more than write a bullshit standard newspaper comment on whatever you do. So nobody's stopping you with that. Thank you very much. And if you guys want, you can keep that here for a sec. If you guys want, after, I think now we do Q&A, right? And if you guys want, I can tell you one more story, which is really crazy about this mindset of like nobody stopping you that we can have for later because I have a cool appointment on Monday. But let's do Q&A first.
So we have time for like 2 questions. Anybody has a question? Let's start right there. Oh, you already have the mic.
Hello. So are you out of debt now, or? Sorry? Are you out of debt, or?
Nah, I'm not. But it's not that bad. Like we're paying back in increments, and I don't know. There's about 82K left or something to pay off, but it's doable.
You got this.
Thanks, bro.
I think we have another question right in the left row.
Yes.
Whoever starts first.
So you mentioned that your parents were also entrepreneurs, right? So, and you also mentioned that you didn't care about figuring out the business plan before you start. Did it had any influence, any link?
That my parents were entrepreneurs?
Because like you have experienced people right in your family, so
yeah.
Did it influence?
So I think yes and no. Oh well, I think yes, because influence can be positive and negative at the same time. And I think that my mom is one of my biggest inspirations, because my mom is the toughest woman you will meet in your life. She's crazy. Like her energy is crazy. It's contagious, and I think I kind of got that from her. So my mom is really an inspiration in that sense. My dad is a very smart guy. He had his best years of his life actually being a corporate expat, because he was like one of the first expats where you get like all the flights and the schools paid and the fancy hotels and everything. And when he heard that I want to do entrepreneurship, like they did together as a couple, he was like, are you absolutely stupid to try this in this country? Because it's hard. I mean, it's not easy in Austria, but again, you also have the opportunity that nobody's stopping you and you don't have a lot of competition. So I think my dad was more or less, he was more against it. My mom was saying, hey, you do you, I know you, and you wouldn't do anything else. So basically, yes, I think. But overall, over the way, like I was able to learn a lot from my mom and also from my dad in these ways about entrepreneurship, about the ups and the downs, definitely.
Thanks for answering.
Thank you for a compelling presentation. I noticed that you have very impressive public speaking skills. Do you have any advice on how you develop them?
How to develop it? Okay, so basically, also going back to the family, I think the first thing which is interesting is I'm the youngest of 4 sons. So I have 3 brothers. I have 3 older brothers, and my dad, he always wanted to have a girl. You see where this is going. My dad never gets his wishes, right? So, I'm the youngest of 4 brothers, and my dad was not even checking the gender before I was born. And then I was born in Brazil on Carnival Sunday, and the doctor, he was kind of drunk. He was actually dancing samba just right before. And when they called him and said, the baby is coming, he was like, nah, bro, we're dancing samba. We can't do this right now. And they were like, no, you got to come out. Okay. So he came out and he's like, congrats, it's a boy. And my dad was like, fuck. So basically, you have to bring something to the table. So you have to be funny or you have to be able to tell stories. So I think this is where it started. So I did this already like in school. But then, of course, through the ACSL, like don't get it twisted. Like also my first presentations, my first keynotes, whatever, I would have the sweaty hands. I would have the high heart rate. I would be like, hello, are you guys doing fine? But it's normal, and you just develop it over time and over the things you see and you do. Like as I said before, I had over 800 pitches in my life, so there's rarely a pitch that I'm like really afraid of, or I would think that, wow, I'm not ready for that. But I would learn, in every pitch I would learn something, yeah. Even now.
So thank you so much for your story, Lawrence, and thank you for launching the ACSL. I mean, giving us the opportunity to foster some bonds through sports. It's amazing.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Well, yeah, just in terms of time, I don't know, you guys want to do a networking event right now, right? Yes. Okay, awesome. Then do that. And everybody who wants to hear the special story, you can pull up to me. I'll be at the networking. Thank you.
So we heard 2 amazing stories who've ended in different ways. One nearly launching and patenting, the other one doing stuff for all the universities at hand. And that should like lead you to think you can do it as well. And that's why I'm gonna show you the first time our first QR code. That's the sign up for our first lab, where you can find your co-founders or partners. So I would all of you like encourage you to scan it. It's totally free. You can just join the labs and start your journey with the Entrepreneurship Avenue. And you will see it at the end of the presentation again. So, second of all, how will you interact with us? We have, let's say, 3 different channels. We have, first of all, our Instagram account, entrepreneurship.avenue. Same with the LinkedIn, and you can join our WhatsApp group by scanning the link. There you get all the inspirational texts and all the event notifications. So if you want to be kept up to date, please scan the code and just join the group. So, as Lawrence already told us, we have one special networking event with you. And for this, you will find the little, we will skip that. You will find the little notebooks on your seat. Please use them. Take a pencil. And the first task is write one word. Just one word, can be anything. Have you guys found your words? Okay. Find your neighbor to the left or the right, however you want it. Give him or her the piece of paper. Left or right. So, now you have a different kind of paper. You don't have to look at the word, but write another word on the paper. Just one word. Doesn't have to be connected to the other one. Are you all done? Perfect. Give the person back the paper and get yours as well. So. So, your task is now, look at the paper, you have 2 minutes time, prepare pitch, and pitch it to the other person for 1 minute. That's the basics for your product, service, or whatever you do for your business. That's our little networking event, so you can find out what the others are doing. So guys, are you all done with your pitch ideas? You have the first minute, just decide whoever is pitching first. You have 1 minute up to now, to start your pitch. So stop the first pitch. Now we're switching places and the other person has to pitch with the two newly found words. And I would give you a minute from now on. So stop the pitches. So as you can see, our little stage is getting a bit different. That's why we're heading to our next panel discussion. It's gonna be a panel discussion. Oh, we're gonna have a 5-minute break, and then afterwards we're starting with the panel discussion.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a like 5 minutes break, so feel free to get some drinks, some fresh air, and in 5 minutes we're gonna start with a super exciting panel discussion. We're happy to have you back.
Everybody to come back to the stage. Fünftes, sechstes habe ich da. Dass er schon eins hat, wenn er raufgeht. Ja, ich werde es jetzt gleich abgeben. Aber du kannst nicht alles da. Ich lege es auf. So we would ask you all to take a seat. The panel discussion is about to start. Start. So, I welcome everybody back. I hope you had like a refreshment with the drinks and the food. So, I'm happy to announce our next point on the agenda, and it's gonna be a panel discussion, the founders talk with 4 startups from each university with Zeitgeber, Thinkubator, Viaduct, and MoneyCare. And for that, I would hand over to Rudolf to lead the discussion.
Thank you, Manuel. You can leave it, I don't need it. Thank you. So, how are you now? Feeling energized? Hearing those inspiring stories from Lisa and Lawrence? Yes, yes. You can show me your love. Don't be ashamed. Okay, so as you all know, the Entrepreneurship Avenue wants to provide you with the opportunity to find out whether starting your own business or joining the startup scene is your thing. And the best way to find out is to talk to people who were in a similar position as you are right now, just a few years ago. So for the next agenda point, we invited 4 young entrepreneurs from various universities here in Vienna, from various backgrounds with different ideas, different business models, to share their insights and to complement the things that you already heard from Lisa and Lawrence, to see that there is not this one blueprint of how to become an entrepreneur, but rather there are many different ways. And I think one of the most important things for an entrepreneur is to find this authentic way to be your true self and do your thing. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our panelists on stage, and I'd like to start with the local hero. She studied here at the Angewandte, founded her startup Viaduct already during her studies, and I guess you have already seen the great things that they are doing in the silkscreen station over there. So please give a big hand to Bernadette Meisel. Our next panelist earned a Master in International Development at the University of Vienna, some may say Hauptuniversität. And just like Bernadette, she also co-founded her first startup, MoneyCare, during her studies. Happy to have you with us, Kata Herzog. Next on stage, he graduated from TU Vienna and co-founded Zeitgeber together with 3 other co-founders. Happy you're with us tonight. Please give a big hand to Marian Stoshitsky. And last but not least, she's not only representing one university, but 2 Viennese universities. After she finished her undergraduate studies at WU, majoring in entrepreneurship innovation, she is currently enrolled in a master's program at BOKU Vienna. Please say hello to the co-founder of Thinkubator, Alexandra Kick. And as you can see, we got it right. So they're sitting the way they're on the screen. So, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you? Good.
Yeah?
Thank
Hello.
you for the invitation.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Great, you're with us tonight. So, did you people have an idea of what these guys are actually doing? I'd like to invite you to briefly pitch your startups and tell us what you are doing with your startups. Who wants to start? Bernadette, I think you seem to be...
I should start. Okay. So, hi everybody, my name is Bernadette. I founded Viaduct many years ago, in 2008. Viaduct is an open screen print studio for artists and designers who are not longer allowed to use the facilities of the universities. So, what do we do? So we offer the space for the artists and designers so that they can produce their own projects. We offer workshops I also started an exhibition series where I show artists who work with screen printing in their creative processes. We do commission prints and a lot of more. Maybe I will tell you later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Then I guess I will go next. My name is Kata. I'm co-founder and CEO of MoneyCare. And at MoneyCare, we help private investors align sustainable investments with their values. So MoneyCare is a platform for sustainable investing. And I don't know if you've ever tried to invest sustainably. The true challenge in it isn't just finding opportunities, because nowadays almost every fund, any company, they all call themselves sustainable. The true challenge is finding those that are genuinely sustainable, and that is why we are working on bringing transparency into the space so that people can instantly see which companies, which funds, etc., are really sustainable and match your personal values.
Thank you. What is Zeitgeber about?
Hi everybody. Zeitgeber, I'm CEO and co-founder, is all about the science of waking up with better energy in the morning. If you're a night owl or a Morgenmuffel, as people call it, did you know that there's actually a lot of science well described how you can change that and become a healthy early riser? It's actually a lot about health. That's what we're about. It's a lot of lifestyle when you look at the science, and we've recently published a book on that subject. But it's also a lot about light. And the most important time for what kind of light you get is around the time of wake up in the morning. And we found that current wake-up lights or smart lights lack the technologies that are described to do fantastic things like align your natural wake-up time with the time you please, or even cure winter depression. So we went out and developed the world's most advanced dawn simulator, a smart light for the bedroom that allows you to wake up as your best and healthiest self as the time that you please, at the time that you please.
Can I already buy it?
You have to wait a little bit, but you can sign up as a waitlist member and become a tester of the prototypes.
Thanks. Alex?
I actually know some people that participated in the pilot phase, so great stuff. I co-founded Thinkubator 3 years ago, and Thinkubator is a think tank focused on circular economy, consisting of 3 pillars. So we do education, research, and consulting on circular economy, giving you a bit of examples what that means. Our education pillar consists of, well, the typical workshops, seminars, and so on, but we also have an incubation program called the Climate Launchpad, which is for early stage sustainability entrepreneurs. The research part, one example is a project focused on financing circular economy. So here we really work with banks, trying to get them to understand how circular economy works and why they need to finance it. And lastly, the consulting. Here the CSRD is a really, really huge topic. And we also assist companies implementing, for example, rental models instead of selling their stuff.
Thank you all. So now that we know what you are doing, it'd be interesting to know why you're doing it and why you became entrepreneurs in the first place. So is this something that you've always dreamt about, being an entrepreneur? Did it just happen? Was there a moment when you said, okay, I have to do this? What are your personal ways to entrepreneurship? Whoever wants to start.
I can start. So remember, sustainable investing. And my founding journey, or our founding journey, basically started with my now co-founder and me trying to start investing and start looking into the future and what do we have to do with our money. And then we at one day stumbled across the concept of impact investing. And that is the idea that investing is not just about making money or providing for your future. It's also about doing something good for the environment or the people, or supporting companies that actually do good. And I think that is when also my personal academic background and this topic came together, because I studied international development, as Rudolf said, and it's all about finding out what doesn't work in our systems, in our society, and how can we make this better. And this idea of using money to actually change something and do something for the better, that made a lot of sense to me. And that was the way that I wanted to invest my money. I didn't want to put it into, I don't know, oil companies or just the economy, because the economy, there's a lot also not so good going on. So I was like, okay, I want to do that. Where can I do that? And we researched, we looked for solutions, for apps, for anything, and there was none. So we were wondering, why is that? That's the only way that it makes sense to put your money, basically, in our opinion. So we talked about this idea to a friend, and that friend actually said, that sounds pretty good. And actually, I saw that there's an award. It's the Social Impact Award. They're looking for ideas. Why don't you just apply? And that was basically it. We applied for it. They had coaching in advance so that you can actually tell somebody about your idea and get feedback even before you apply. So we had some discussions, and we're like, okay, this could be something. Let's do a PowerPoint presentation. And that's how it started.
Okay, so to say you had this personal need, you didn't find a solution, and then there was this opportunity of the Social Impact Award to actually find a way to get started. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, maybe talking about personal need. Maybe you can continue there as well. Didn't know you started that way. It's fascinating. I had that personal need too. I never envisioned myself as an entrepreneur. I saw my future somewhere in climate tech, probably. But I noticed, like throughout my life, whatever I did, my days started with not being able to do my first task in the morning. Like I failed to get out of bed. I pressed the snooze buttons for like minutes to hours, and I noticed that like I felt so bad for doing this, and I knew that whatever I would do later on, this had to be fixed somehow. And there didn't seem to be a product. I tested all of the gadgets that you know. Didn't seem to be a fix, but when I then read into the literature, like the scientific literature, it was amazing to find that there are solutions, and not only do they help you get out of bed easier, but some of them prevent winter depression, some of them like lower the risk for major depression. They improve performance throughout the day, and I was like, why does this not exist? And it was, at the end of the day, my project, because I was way too scared, afraid of failure, of launching a startup. My journey became trying to find out why this thing doesn't exist. And it eventually led me to found my own startup.
Cool.
Yes, when I was studying art and design education, I always asked myself, where should I go after I finished my studies? Where are all these workshops where I can continue doing my creative projects? And during this time, my father, he rented a railway arc, and he didn't want to continue paying the rent, and he asked me, do you want to take over the lease? Like, do you want to have it? And then I thought, I was still studying, I was 25, and I was, okay, let's, maybe we can do something with this space. Maybe we can do something with the idea that a lot of people will need space after they have finished their studies. And then I started doing a research about open print studios worldwide, because I had the feeling that in Vienna there were no really like concepts like this, and I decided to do a research trip to New York City, yeah, I went there. I was interning at a print shop. basically I called them and I said, I have already booked the flight. I want to do the internship. And yeah, I did it. I stayed there for a few months. I met a lot of great people, and then I came back. I decided, okay, I have to do this here in Vienna. So, and then everything started. It's like, yeah.
Okay, that's great, because I mean I like the aspect that you had the opportunity to get this facility.
Yeah.
And so basically combining the thought of, okay, there is a resource that I can make use of, and then I know that there might be a problem for graduates of my university to get their things done, and combining this and getting additional sounding from your trip to New York. Thanks.
Yes, and that's also the reason why we are called Viaduct, because it was a viaduct, like a railway arc, and we moved somewhere else. We are not there anymore, but I couldn't get, like, it's my history, so we're still Viaduct, yeah.
What about you, Alex?
I think I was 19 when I understood that if there is a topic that I will be passionate about my whole life, then it's sustainability. And the moment I understood this, I started changing my lifestyle, changing my consumption, and doing all these little things, but I still didn't understand that I can turn it into my job. This took me another, I would say, a year and a half at WU, because at WU nobody really talks about sustainability, to put it like this. In the normal courses, it's not really present. So at some point I saw, well, there is this career path, sustainability manager, and I was like, oh, well, actually I can work in this field. And then I started doing all of my internships in this space, in different institutions, the ministry, big corporate, small corporate, startup, investment firm, all different stations. And I never felt this pressure on my chest going away, like this pressure of we're really stuck, there is not enough happening. No experience changed this. Nowhere where I worked. I also joined Fridays, I joined different organizations, but this pressure did not vanish. And it really made me angry, it made me sad. I was really frustrated at some point. And then COVID hit and my semester abroad got canceled, and I was there, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Either I get another job or I finish my studies without my semester abroad. And then a friend of mine approached me, hey, I have this idea, and you're the person in my friend circle who knows about sustainability. So can we do this? And I was like, yeah, let's start this. And after a couple of weeks, this pressure was gone, because I understood that I'm doing what I can, or I'm putting my time and all of my knowledge and my skills into working towards a more sustainable and a more just world, and this is the best thing ever.
Okay, cool.
I just realized that the easiest way to find a co-founder is to be found as a co-founder, apparently.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that, you know, having this domain expertise, so to say, in sustainability, and then being asked by someone else and getting things rolling. Cool. So you mentioned it a little bit, but there's one thing that I want to do a little more deep dive on, is this how to actually get started. So earlier, Lisa mentioned in her talk that there are a lot of opportunities available in Vienna. There's a lot of mentoring happening, but still, when you're not part of this ecosystem yet, oftentimes you don't really know where to turn to. So I'd be interested to learn from you how you took your first steps and where they led you.
I'm happy to start here, because that was horribly difficult. I felt like I hadn't really practiced pitching that stuff. I didn't really know where to turn to. I just had that problem and an idea. And I felt like nobody really understood that I had no entrepreneurial background in my family. And what changed everything for me, and this is what I can recommend all of you seek, was I became cohort of a startup program. For me, it was Austria to Austin. It's hosted by the US Embassy. It's a 2 weeks entrepreneurial program. And suddenly, you are pushed into an ecosystem where other people are as crazy as you are. For me, that was like, I Googled opportunities. It was somewhat brought to me. But this, for me, was the game changer that allowed me to dare pursue my project. And for me, I notice when I look back that this mindset shift, out of all things, was the greatest facilitator on that journey that I found. So it doesn't answer the question where you find that cohorts, and maybe we can get to this.
How did you come across Austria to Austin?
A friend of mine told me about it. I think it was like, hey, you told me about that idea. There's something about workshops. And I was scared of even applying. But then I had like a New Year's resolution. Whatever I would actually want to do, but I'm scared of it, I want to do that year. And application deadline was like 3rd of January, so it kind of matched with my resolution, and that's how I got in.
Okay, cool. That was in 2019, right?
It was in 2019, yes.
Okay, thanks.
I'm an old man.
I've also done that program. It's a great program. Yeah, but it doesn't happen anymore.
That's true.
That's really sad.
No, there is.
Yeah, but they changed it. It's not an entrepreneurial program anymore. It's more about politics.
Okay, but it's called Austria to America now, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe to add on this, what I did in the beginning was I went to, let's say, mentors. I wouldn't call them mentors, but people that I looked up to, maybe former chefs. What is this? Bosses, former bosses, and people around me that were in this space doing something entrepreneurial, and I asked them, hey, we have this idea, we discussed it, what do you think? And I remember very clearly that my former boss was like, what are you even thinking about? Have you looked at yourself? You're glowing. This is definitely what you're gonna do because you're really passionate about it. And I think this is the main indicator. If you authentically burn for a topic, if you are passionate about a topic, a problem space, then go for it. Because if you authentically want to do something in that space and you're open to talk about it, things will come to you in the long or in the short term.
Okay, just one comment on the things that you two mentioned. What I find striking here, that with regards to getting started, the two of you didn't really talk about the content of the idea, but that it was rather about finding a community that provided support and pushed you to do it. So in your case, Austria to Austin, in your case, talking to some people and trying to get feedback. And it's just like an interpretation of mine, how you described this conversation with your former boss. But obviously he didn't really feedback on the specific idea, but rather seeing your energy and being overwhelmed by it and saying, okay, Alex, this is what you have to do. Okay, so trying to find this kind of support network, and maybe this room and the Entrepreneurship Avenue might be yours.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of people. I attended a seminar at Angewandte. It was hosted by Eva Blimlinger back then. It was called Projektorganisation. It was different back then. So I told her my project idea, and I asked her, what should I do? I don't know where to start. I don't know where to go. Please help me. And she was really the one who was very she started writing down a list and told me, okay, you go there, you go there, you go there, and I did. Yeah. And then I continued talking to people. I mean, you know this. Yeah, it's so important to talk to people and to explain your project idea. And I must say, I failed a lot. I realized that this will be no sprint. This will be a marathon, and it still is. But yeah, it's like my project. I know it's a good one. I know it. and yeah, now I'm here. So, but really talk to people. It's I was so insecure back then. I was 25. I had no yeah. My parents are like my mom is a costume designer. My dad was a teacher. I was not in this like field of economic. Yeah, so.
Thank you.
I can only support this. Talking to people and having people in your circle that give you this small push that is needed. So why don't you apply? Look at this program. Talk to this person. So also, whether you have an idea or not, if you have people in your circles that have this passion or have something, encourage them to talk to people to start. And yeah, our application was the first step. And then I mentioned the social impact ward. That was also a community, like you said. Suddenly I was surrounded by a lot of people who had ideas, and this coaching and mentoring and pitching for the first time. There's always a first time for everything. And it really helped to get started. And in that program, I learned about other programs. So there's AWS First, for example. That's the flagship program for anyone under 30 starting with an idea. And from there, basically, new opportunities arise, and suddenly you're right into the bubble and into the ecosystem. So the first step is to get this first foot into that ecosystem, and then you will get a lot of support.
Okay, thank you.
Talking to people, like when you hear us on stage say that, it sounds trivial, but actually it can be really painful. Like you will be judged many times, and many people will tell you that what you do sucks. At least in my case, that was the case very often. And I think it's still the #1 reason why startups fail at the end of the day, beside maybe founder struggles, because it's painful and people try to avoid it. So I found it helpful, and I see that in startups that I admire, that when they start, do not set your metric, how well are you doing, by how awesome people think your product is or by your success. But at first, try to set talk to 10 people a week about your idea. And that is your initial metric to start with. And you will gain a lot of insights and you will make a lot of connections.
Getting out of the building. Yes. Okay. I'd like to open the discussion for questions that you might have. I'd like to take 1 or 2, 3 questions from the audience. Mic is coming. Where? Over there.
Okay. Thank you for taking my question. It's for, I guess, everyone in the panel, especially Mary and Alexandra and Bernadette. As you've all mentioned that you had gone to the US at some point, what was the significance to you for those trips to the US for your entrepreneurial experience?
What year did you do it?
2022. I would say it was a nice add-on, but it was definitely not the reason why I did things differently. It was good to experience it, but it didn't change the course of how everything went.
It changed the course of everything. No, it really brainwashed me into being crazy enough to try that thing. And that's what those programs do and can do for you. So loved how you said, Bernadette, like you were insecure when you started. People usually only see snapshots of personalities when they've already done something and are a couple of years into the journey. That's not how we started. So finding a community with people who support each other, and I found my first co-founder who later did not become a co-founder, also there, so it was significant.
Well, but it's only a 2.5 weeks program, and it's also very dense. So.
You wanted to mention something? Okay.
Thank you.
Any other question you have?
So,
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the great speeches. It's really inspiring, so thank you. And I want to ask you about prototyping in the sense that I think when you have an idea or product, can be something concrete like Zeitgeber or maybe like a space or like a firm. Obviously, you might want to test it before you fund and spend all the money you get. So, and I'm really interested in all your takes on this. So how did you come with a prototype? Which maybe in what form it was for all of your projects, and then how you tested it, tested the water before maybe going a bit bigger and scaling up. So that would be my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Who wants to answer?
I can start if you want. So the Thinkubator started with the idea of a program. So our hypothesis was there is super much climate science and very little action. So we wanted to bridge this gap and bring more scientific knowledge into application. And our first hypothesis was to do this with a program. So bringing young, motivated people with skills and time to challenges and connect them with experts and get them going, basically. So what we did is talk to a lot of people that were potential experts and people that were, so to say, trainers in this program. And we just asked them, hey, we want to do this. Would you like to be trainer without earning money? Would you like to support us? And so many people said yes. It was really impressive. And then we recruited the first batch and we just got going. So really, just start. You will learn on the way so much that really, just go out there and start.
Thank you.
So about prototyping, I think just sketching out your idea and talking to people, but also showing it people is the first prototype that you can do. So we, at one point, started designing a website and just, showing it to people and see, do people actually sign up for a waiting list, or do they even care? And we also did interviews to find out, are people actually looking for this kind of sustainability information, or how do they experience investing? Can they talk to us about their journey and what annoys them, how they go about it? So I think you've probably heard about the mom test. It's really helpful that if you have the people in mind, like your users or your potential customers, talk to them and find out really what they care about, and then that's your first proof of there's something, not just for yourself, but for others as well.
Thanks.
So what I did, and this was really fun. So I studied art and design education. So I'm also teaching at high school. So I asked the kids about my ideas, and I showed them what I'm planning to do, and I did a lot of screen printing classes and workshops with them. And the kids, they are between 10 and 18 years old, and it was the best feedback. It was perfect. They are so honest, and they tell you everything you need to know. Yes, this was
super.
Get started.
So
yeah.
Amazing.
For us, it was like you would expect, just build it, take your own money. But I have a question for you, Kata, because this is something that I get a lot from other teams. You have a product that once it's ready, like once it's Amazon and it lists all the products, and it's got, if it's the two-sided market, it got customer and products, like then it works well. But it's hard to start with that. And for you, like you probably like your algorithm needs to develop over time, and you can't start with the entire S&P 500 or whatever. How did you go about this in prototyping?
You're asking this question because you actually know what we're doing and what we're working on, but I haven't shared that we actually use artificial intelligence to collect sustainability data from reports. And how we started was by doing this manually. So we figured, okay, companies report about their sustainability, about their business, and somewhere in these hundreds of pages is the information that we're looking for. For instance, how many CO2 emissions does this company emit, or how many women work there in management positions? Is there a pay gap, etc.? So we were looking for this information, and it took us hours. To be specific, like 5 hours per company. So we cannot do this for thousands of companies. But we're now working on an AI technology that helps us speed this up. And yes, it's all about data. You need data to train the models to be even more concrete and fast. So we decided that let's start with a set of companies that are maybe most relevant to people. And the very first batch was, we just figured, okay, let's look at Austrian companies and let's look at German companies, because two of us are from Germany. And then from there, we figured, okay, no, people don't just invest in Germany, in German and Austrian companies. Let's look at the global universe, but at those companies that are often in sustainable products, so that are supposedly sustainable. So we figured we would scan these first, and from there, we would do the rest.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Time flies when you're having fun, and I guess some of you are already, sometimes looking to the back and wanting to fill your belly. But before we wrap up, I'd like to do one last round with you, and that's one question that I have for you, and that is, what advice would you give yourself at the time you were starting your studies with regards to, opening up an entrepreneurial pathway? So what is this one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Be very, very patient.
Okay, thank you.
Feeling insecure and bad is part of the process. Startup is not about being shiny and famous and successful. It's about being like, other people will think you're an idiot, but you feel that you are onto something and they just don't know about this. So this feeling is very normal, and you're onto something if you have that and do your things right.
I would say find your why. Why are you doing this? Why are you going into this journey of a lot of ups and a lot of downs? You have to have this kind of purpose. And if you found that, just like you said, stick to it, take it as your vision, and yeah, just go for it.
Do what you love. That's one of my things I always try to tell people who are asking me about this. Do what you love, and it's okay to let things go. That's also something which is very important for me, and it's okay because then new doors will open. It's it's part of the game.
Thank you so much. Big round of applause for our awesome panel. And if I may, and to conclude on just one specific aspect that we discussed, I truly hope that the Entrepreneurship Avenue 2024 will be your community where you find support even for crazy ideas. So thanks for bearing with us.
All right. Okay, everyone.
This is switched off.
Yeah.
What?
All right, everyone. Yeah, just to quickly wrap this up, one last minute. I know it's a Friday evening. We're also looking forward to going out with the whole team after this. For us, it's pretty awesome to see this event happen now, especially that the entire team has worked quite tirelessly for the last few months to make this event series happen. Big thanks, of course, to Angewandte for letting us host the event. Then woo! Then, of course, big thanks to all the speakers that came tonight, and huge thanks to all the team, some sitting there, some in the back already, for making this event happen.
Yes, and we would really love to invite you all join our lab series, which is starting in April. You don't need to have a team to join. You don't need to have an idea to join, because you can join another team. Just join us, and we will find you idea, team, inspiration, everything. You can scan the QR code for the labs. You can scan the QR code for the WhatsApp group. We will send all the information there. And it was a true pleasure to have all of you join us here today. Thank you. And we also invite you all for the networking happening behind. There's going to be food, drinks, and thank you for being here with us today.
Also, one more point, we have our own app. The cooler guys in the back there helped us make it happen. They will also be there for networking, so if you want to build an app, just talk to them. They know how to do it. Yeah, so we're happy to have you at the networking time now. Food, drinks, and thanks all for coming.
Team picture?
What? It's an amazing event, and we had so many speakers, and why do I have a mic? I mean, I'm a stage performer.
Woo-hoo. Boop, boop. It's on. Join the WhatsApp group.